That's it! When I'm making clothes or costumes, I love to include pockets. And I invite you to do the same with this variation I learned recently to the most commonly used pocket sewing method. I'll describe how to sew the pocket into a skirt, but you can apply this to pants, dresses, shorts, wherever you find a seam fit to do so. The way that most commercial patterns or online tutorials will teach you how to sew pockets is essentially this. Cut out 4 pocket pieces, sew all 4 to the 4 sides of the front and back of your skirt, iron, line up the front and back of the skirt, stitch from the top, around the pocket, and all the way to the bottom. Invert and boom, you got pockets. It's pretty easy, but one of the disadvantages I find is when I try to line up the front and the back existing seams, it's hard to get those two to line up just right, usually resulting in the original seam being visible on the outside. I've read that this can be remedied by stitching closer to the edge when you attach the pocket pieces, then sewing the actual seam allowance when you go to do that long stitch, which is a fair point. Another issue I have is all the separate seams to finish. I highly recommend serging your seams to keep the fabric from unraveling and adding durability, but this method leaves seams on both sides of the pocket which have to be serged separately, and then another line when they come together after the pocket down to the bottom half. It's just kind of annoying to stop and go with 3 different lines of overlock stitching and have them all meet in the middle. Not to mention the pocket curve itself and have it neatly start and end. These were inconveniences until recently when I looked closely at a skirt I had bought online and realized a slightly different approach that allows for lining things up easier, cleaner seam allowances, and even allows for a zipper to be installed alongside it. So let me walk you through start to finish. Cut out 4 pocket pieces shaped something like this, which should include a seam allowance matching that of your skirt side. Decide how big of a pocket opening you want. My example starts an inch or so from the top, opening for 5 inches, and then stops about 3 inches from the bottom of the pocket piece. You'll cut out 2 like this, and 2 like this. Line up the pocket piece right side to right side and pin along the side only on the skirt front, not the back. Forget about the back for now. I'm only going to sew where the pocket opening will be. You can mark that with pins or washable ink to remind you. And repeat this for the other side of the skirt front. Iron the seam so the pocket is outward, fold it all the way back and add a top stitch if you want to, which I've already done and forgot to record. Oops. Just above where the opening starts and just below where the opening ends, cut into the seam allowance to that seam line or fold. I'm cutting perpendicular to the stitch I just sewed, cutting 2 layers, both the skirt and the pocket piece layers. Flip your pocket back around so you see the wrong side of the skirt and the right side of the pocket. Flip the little flaps out and lay the pocket piece flat to the skirt piece like you see here. You should have 2 little seam flaps sticking out at the top, 1 little flap of the pocket bottom, and the long seam allowance left on the skirt front. Line up the back pocket piece right sides together with the front pocket piece along the edge. Pin together pocket pieces only, do not pin to the skirt, and sew around the curve, starting with the top of the curve, ending with the bottom of the curve. Feel free to serge this now too. Now that the beautiful pocket has been formed, we can finally sew up the skirt side. So I need to flip it over and lay it out flat. Then you can lay the back skirt piece face to face and pin all the way up to the side. Now would be the perfect time to add a side zipper if needed. It gets stitched right into the seam and it won't affect the functionality of the pocket. Now I can sew from top to bottom through all 4 layers, the skirt front, pocket back, and skirt back. When I sew, I'll ensure that I'm catching all of the little flaps and that they're lined up with the fabric edge. Be careful not to catch the pocket front opening when stitching, but don't pull it away so much that the seam flaps aren't flush to the edge. Okay, let's go! Turn the skirt right side out and you should have a gorgeous, clean seam with built-in pockets. If it all looks good, run that sucker through your serger for a finished seam edge. This method makes lining up a clean seam easier, allows for neater serged seams, and even the option to add a zipper if needed. Like I said before, this can be used for pants, shorts, dresses, skirts, coats, wherever you find a seam that could use a pocket. Hopefully this explanation is useful to you in your sewing adventures. Let me know in the comments an interesting technique that you've learned about sewing so that we can all learn from each other. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe for more fun content. Until next time, bye!